surrender as I love, serve, and remember.
So for me, I think my pearl of great price is connected with just, just as everyone here, it's so you, it was me. When I was young, I read the book Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I haven't seen the movies because I find them too upsetting, because I found it because when I read the book, it's Louisa May Alcott was the character of Jo. There's 4 daughters, and I have 3 brothers, so I have 4 kids. And when I first started reading it, of course I wanted to be Jo, the fiery, spunky, she's clearly the best character in the books. She wrote herself well. But as I was reading it, it was so clear I was Beth. And I just got so attached to Beth because Beth had these 3 siblings, and she would say things like, why do they want to go out in the world so much? It's so great at home. She loved being at home with her siblings, and that's how I was. Anything outside of my home was secondary. I was so happy just being there. I had 3 brothers, my parents, they have so much vitality, energy, enthusiasm for life. My home life was so fun. I didn't really need anything else. And so I wanted to be at home. And in the spoiler alert, if you haven't seen a movie or read a book, Beth dies. That was a pretty shocking experience for me. I'm not going back, but it's interesting because even when I was in 5th grade, my teacher asked us to write a story. Rudyard Kipling writes these just so stories about like how an animal got its spots or the elephant got its trunk. So our teacher asked us to write a story of how an animal came to be. And I think it's hilarious. I never made the connection, but the story I wrote was how a turtle got its shell, because a turtle can be at home wherever it is. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm pretty consistent. So there's this feeling of being home. And then as I was sharing last week, the pearl of great price came to me much later on in my journey with the awareness that when everything else was taken away, the thing that mattered, the thing, no matter what, was my life in God. That was the divine presence. I'm comfortable with the word God. We use all the different words here, universe, life, energy, the thing itself, because they're all just concepts about something that's beyond concept. So I use God only because I'm comfortable with it, but please translate in your head in a way that makes you comfortable. But for me, that presence of God that was why I was here. That was the sole reason. When everything else was taken away, it was a time of just looking around about what mattered to me and what was really there. And for me, everything could drop away, but God was the one thing that didn't drop away. So when you look at that's my pearl of great price, and we heard other pearls of great price. So then the question becomes, when you sort of get clear on what that pearl of great price is for you, then you have to ask the question, am I interested or am I committed? Now, if you're committed, you can still be interested, but you can be interested without being committed. And so am I interested in my pearl of great price, or am I committed? So the interest would be, I'll try to do this, and a commitment is, no, I'm committed to this. And that commitment makes a big shift in our life. So in the idea that life is God, and that we're talking about our inner holy home, what we start to recognize and what we know is that one of the basic principles that we teach and practice here is that there is only one power and one presence, so it's everywhere. There's no place where it's not. And so I read this beautiful example by a colleague of mine, Bonnie Hess-Rose, who's the minister of CSL in Ventura. And as soon as I read it, I'm like, oh, I'm doing this. So thank you, Bonnie. So I'm going to bring our little thing here. This is why I brought the stand up. This is so fun. I'm so excited. It's so simple but profound. Okay. So this bottle of water represents our humanity. This is who we are as human beings. Everything that we are as human beings, individually and collectively, okay? It includes all the right thoughts, the habit patterns, again, individually and collectively. This beautiful container of red is God. This represents the divine. Pure love, always love, never limited, never bound by anything. Pure love. And then we pour the divine into the human. You see, this is who we are. We are filled to overflowing with Spirit, with God, with the divine. You can't separate us. You can't separate us from the divine. You couldn't pull us apart if you tried. Every atom and cell of our being is permeated with divine love. There is no aspect of who we are ever that is separate from the divine. Individually and collectively, this also could be the planet, filled with the divine love. That always, 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 no matter what we're thinking, no matter what we've done, no matter whether we made good choices or bad choices, whether we're in pain or not pain, whether we've hurt someone or someone's hurt us, no matter what is happening, it's always happening in love. We can never be outside this love except when it hops out the jar. When I try to shake it a little, that's a whole nother talk. But this is such a beautiful reminder of who and what we really are. And it's never going to change. This is the pure, unconditional love. So when we say we are made in the image and likeness of love, this is what it means. When we say that no matter what, that's what unconditional love, no matter what things have happened, no matter what choices, no matter what pain, no matter what, love, love. And when you speak love, then you're in alignment with who you really are. You're in alignment with this beautiful red love. And I love that there's always love left over, because love is beyond just the human body, right? That's my little demonstration for today. Isn't that great? So we are filled to overflowing with divine love. Then the question becomes, are we committed or are we interested in that? Are we interested in knowing that we are divine love, or are we committed to knowing that? So Joel Goldsmith, who's the author of our first reading today, another thing that he says is the divine love is everywhere, or he just says God, he doesn't say divine love, but divine love is everywhere. But where it goes unrecognized, it's as if it's not there. It's always there, but we in our human mind can just identify with just the water part and choose to ignore this beautiful red love that we're in all the time. It takes intention and work not to make ourselves one with God. We're already one with God, but it takes intention and work to see it, to be aware of it, to experience it, and to become it. It's there already. We're not making it happen. This is very important. We are not making ourselves one with love. We are already one with love. We are just becoming conscious of it every day. That is the commitment. Every day we want to be conscious that we are one with love. And that takes work, and that takes effort. Again, the work and the effort is not getting it. We have it. It's just becoming aware of it and living from that place as much as we possibly can. Are you committed, or are you interested? You with me? Isn't this fun? Our inner holy home, it's everywhere we go when we choose to see it. So we have spiritual practices to help us to see and to know that. Now, I might get a little challenge. I might challenge a little bit today because I'm just in one of those moods. But it's always with the awareness that there's no judgment. We're always in love. We're always loved. And no matter what choices we make, we're always in love. I just want to be clear on that. I want to establish that. Because I'm asking these questions not out of judgment, not out of you should do this or shouldn't do that. Just if you want to know that you are divine love, we have to be clear where we are right now. So one of the main practices of waking up to that word divine love is meditation. Also prayer. But prayer, when it's just in the word form or when it's really focused on this world, it doesn't shift us. It's prayer that takes us to a level beyond our human mind. And we'll post the readings today on the Facebook page. The Yogananda's reading is when we start moving into these mysterious places, when we move into this place of divine consciousness, words can never do it. It's beyond the realm of words. So the more awake we become, it's like, you can't say it because it's beyond that, right? You all know this. So if you're doing prayer as a form of awakening your consciousness, that prayer has got to take you to that different place beyond words. The prayer is a vehicle to take you beyond words. And that is definitely the purpose of meditation. And that's why in most spiritual communities, the recommendation to have a regular meditation practice is so often pressed upon you. I don't know what the word is. Encouraged, because we can say, and I haven't responded yet, but there's been a lot of conversation about chat GPTs, and that a lot of these robotic chat groups and ministers are talking about how they're using it for their Sunday talks. You put a few words in, and they come out with this cool thing, and they said sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, but it's always really like, wow, it's not bad. I mean, I don't know if you've read some of this stuff. It's great stuff. You can write prayers. And to me, and they're like really excited about it, and I'm thinking, well, wait, stop. This can be the problem in our world today. Jonathan Jones is his name. He was talking about, he's a guy, he grew up in Southside Chicago, and he said, there was no opportunity for me other than gangs, drugs, all the stuff that you would think. And he said, so his mom took him out to Las Vegas. She did cleaning. She had 3 different full-time jobs to get him, so he could have this opportunity. So she sacrificed. He was very aware, and he just said, suddenly I had opportunities I didn't have before, just in education and learning. Suddenly teachers were more interested in me. They just didn't put me in as a number. And he took that really seriously, and he said, when I look around the world, though, I said, especially in the United States, there's a lot of opportunity that people are just are missing. In fact, there's so much opportunity, I would say, in the spiritual world that we've made it so easy that we just almost don't take it that seriously. Even 10, 15 years ago, I remember giving a talk on you can Google truth. There's nothing you can't Google. But now we've gotten even more sophisticated. You can there's meditation groups happening all around the world at any time of day. You can get on, and there's so many different meditation practices. You know that, right? There's so many different practices that you could do. Well, which one do I do? There's so many. I could do this one. I could do that one. Which one do I choose? So what they're also saying is that commitment and opportunity, when you have so much opportunity and there's so many choices, that in fact it can almost make us less committed. When I went to Agape down in Los Angeles, but I was living in Virginia. In order for me to experience Agape, I had to get in a car, move across country, get a new job, get a new place to live to be part of that community. You don't need to do that anymore. You could just watch online. You can do the classes online. You don't have to go through much trouble. And I know you know the very well-worn story about the caterpillar and the chrysalis. And if you break open the chrysalis, it can't be a butterfly, because it's that very strength that it takes to break through the chrysalis is what gives it the strength for the wings to fly. We've made everything so easy, so much at your fingertips, so many choices, so many possibilities, that it might even, they were saying, and they weren't saying this about spirituality, they're saying this with everything, that it actually has made us less committed. It's almost like our whole culture is becoming having attention deficit disorder. I was just listening to a woman, she's 47, she goes, I just got diagnosed with attention deficit disorder. And then she was saying what was the issue, and I'm like, isn't that everybody? It's like, that's just the way I was horrified. I am going to make a confession today. I know. I was at a meditation yesterday, and it was a 2-hour meditation, but normally I keep everything in my backpack so it's out of the way, but it was summertime, so I just had my phone with me, and I just put it to the side. I kept wanting to look at my phone. I'm like, oh, I can't even get through a meditation without wanting to check my phone. Attention deficit disorder. It's everywhere. Everywhere. We have so many distractions, so many possibilities. Everything's at our fingertips. We have to make a powerful warrior-like commitment to what is important to us, to really focus. What is your pearl of great price? Are you interested or are you committed? And how committed are you? So this is just a question. These are questions not for judgment. It's just information for yourself. If meditation is so important, no, that sounds really judgmental. How do I put this? Because I don't want anyone, this is not to be, it's just information that helps us. It helps me anyway. If meditation is important, I would just like you to answer in your head, this past week, how many times have you meditated in a group? No, again, in your head. I'm asking it out loud, but answer in your head. How many times have you meditated with other people? How many times have you meditated by yourself? Taken time to sit down and do a meditation practice. In the last month, how many times have you been with other people to meditate? And how many times have you meditated on your own? And you can go on and on for the past 6 months, the year, 5 years. It's really important information. If your spiritual life is an aspect of your pearl of great price, because you all have different ways, it's like I have a home, you all have our different ways of expressing it, but if your spiritual life is what undergirds this pearl that you are, how committed are you? Are you interested in it? You'll try it here and there, or are you deeply committed to a meditation practice? Because I would say 95% of the people that I run into say, I'm not a meditator, I'm not a good meditator. And that becomes an excuse. I'm not a good meditator is a great reason not to meditate every day. I'm too busy, great reason. I have family stuff, great reason. There's always reasons not to do it, and it's just an interesting fact of information. If this is connected with my pearl of great price, if knowing that I am a divine being of love and light, this, by the way, is why when I was talking about the ancient schools, ended with the idea of one power, one presence, and we are one with it, because they felt you had to commit first. You had to actually do the work before you could have that great realization. You had to show up when it's inconvenient. I was listening to this guy, and he was talking about, he's a behavioral psychologist, and he had a mentor, and he said, okay, we're going to do 50 push-ups every day for this month, and you can't miss a day. He's like, okay. He said, no, you have to take a picture of yourself every day doing it, accountability. And it just kept increasing and increasing to the point where they were like, you have to do 1,000 push-ups every day for a whole month. Seriously, he said it was the hardest thing. And he said, you can't make any excuses every day. So if you're sick, it doesn't matter. If you're traveling, it doesn't matter. If you're tired, it doesn't matter. And he said, and then one day he was doing it and everything he loved, he felt empowered, and then he traveled to Dubai and he got the flu. So he said, here I had all 3 of them. I was tired, I was traveling, and I had the flu, but I still did it. There becomes a point where there's no excuses. I think of Ari Goldman, who was a journalist for the New York Times, the religion section, and he's a conservative Jew. Part of his practice was Sabbath. You don't do any work sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. He never let his work become more important to him. He's a religion person, the columnist. There's a lot of things happening on Saturdays often. He wouldn't attend because that was work. He had to, and they let him work his schedule around so he could have his Sabbath. There was one time he was working on a story and he had to drive to another town, and the sun went down on Friday, so he just left his car there, walked into a restaurant, ordered some bread and wine, and he had his own little Shabbat service right there in the corner of the restaurant. Commitment, no matter what, commitment. Because we can have spiritual experiences, we can have moments, but it's that day in and day out when we start to embody that Christ presence, that divine love presence, that Atman presence, the Buddha presence, divine love, where we actually become conscious of it. And this is a lot of what Eastern teachings really offer us. They say we're not as interested in belief as we are interested in direct knowing. And that if you practice this every day, this can become a sustained way of living, and it's utterly natural but you have to do it every day. One of my inspirations was Ken Wilber, because we're doing an autobiography of a yogi book group on Tuesdays, and there's no question from the time Yogananda was born, he knew he was a spiritual dude and everything was spiritual. He has this calling, and it's so clear. But we can confuse that with, so spirit is more in him than anyone else. Now we know in this teaching that that's not true, but we have to catch ourselves. I am a minister, but that has nothing to do with there's more divine in me than in you. It's just a role that spirit asked me to play. We all have different roles. So the roles are different, but that spiritual thing is in everybody equally. And so Ken Wilber had no spiritual calling. That was not his thing, but he was interested in ideas. So he's in his 20s and he's exploring, and he says, this meditation thing sounds cool. So he's meditating because he's curious, because he wants to learn. And he starts really getting into these different states of consciousness, and different spiritual practices, different meditation practices lead to different spiritual states. And there's a video of him this is back in the 90s, it's very rudimentary, but he put electrodes on his head, and you can still see it, it's very old and worn. And then he goes into different meditations, he does different meditation types, and he gets different brain waves according to what meditation practice he's doing. This was all something he chose to do. It wasn't like some divine ordinance. He just got really I want to know these different states of consciousness, so I am going to practice them every day rigorously. I'm like, that's probably interesting. You can just choose to do this. Anyone can choose to do this. So Yogananda was a teacher of mine. He was my first ITM, but beyond TM, he was really my main meditation teacher, but he really pushes Kriya Yoga. I would never get initiated into Kriya Yoga, however, because they said you had to say he was your guru and this had to be your practice, and I could not commit to that because I'm too curious. I'm like, now I'm going to be trying all these other different meditation practices, and I think Yogananda is a great spiritual teacher, but I don't know if I could claim him as my guru, so I wouldn't do it. And then 16 years later, Reverend Ellen down in San Jose, you didn't have to claim Yogananda as your guru, you just had to make a commitment. And now I've been meditating for 16 years. I can make that commitment. 16 years I waited for this initiation. It's something you can learn in 10 minutes, I discovered. You can go online. Kriya Yoga is not I was waiting for this amazing thing, and I was just totally, this is so cool. It was just, breathing up and down. But what I did do was make a commitment, because I knew I'd waited 16 years. If I was going to be initiated, I was going to commit. So I'm doing this Kriya Yoga, experiencing nothing. I don't even particularly enjoy it. It's just not resonating with me. Other people are like, I feel my chakras opening up. I'm like, not me, don't feel a thing. I'm just doing it, whatever, just doing it. And I'm committed, so I'm doing it year after year. And it's about 4 years into it, and one day I was just meditating, and I'm just sitting there meditating, and it just dawned on me as I'm meditating, there's no body. There's just, my whole physical body had dropped away, but it wasn't an experience. Somewhere along the way in all this Kriya Yoga, I had just started shifting, and I didn't even know it because it's so natural to us. Our spiritual being is so natural. It's not like, you can have an out-of-body experience, you can have all these lights, you can have all these experiences, but this is the most natural thing in the world because it's who we already are. And I started to notice, cool, I don't have a body. That's nice. And it really worked well when I had an aneurysm. I just went right into my energy body. It wasn't even an issue because I'd been doing it all these years. But I wasn't doing it. Herm Edwards, who's a football coach, said the greatest thing is to be able to teach people to commit to something when they don't know what the answer is going to be. Because that's what it was for me. I didn't know why I was doing Kriya Yoga. I wasn't having great experiences doing it. I wasn't like, this is the best thing. Not for me. But I kept at it because I committed. And I knew what my commitment was. And it started to show up 4 years later. Another thing I tried, and again tried it, not because I had any special calling, but because I was watching Ken Wilber, and he was talking about how he stays awake all the time. That he had learned the consciousness of being aware. John was talking about being aware, staying awake even through your dream states and also through your deep dreamless sleep. And I was like, that's kind of cool. I think I'll try that. So my friend and I tried it, and they lost interest after a while, but I just, every night before bed, and I didn't do anything. All I did was, before bed, I'm going to stay awake the whole time. Never happened. Kept doing it, but every night I did it for months. And then one day, I was taking a nap, and I was just suddenly aware that I was sound asleep and fully awake at the same time. Like I knew, I was aware of my environment around me. And it started to happen more and more. Like, it's not lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming, you're still identified with yourself. The dream was happening inside of me, so I'd watch as I would be dreaming, but it was happening inside of the I am. And then I would move into the deep dreamless sleep, where there's no dreams at all. And I'm still the I am. It's totally cool. And it was nothing special. It wasn't some divine order. It was just a choice. Oh, I think I want to learn what this is. That's what meditation is. I want to learn different states of consciousness. I want to learn about this state. And when you start realizing, oh, mindfulness meditation was a different experience. Zen Buddhism, that's a different experience. And it's became like a playground of consciousness. And in that place, then I can start saying, okay, now what does all this mean? Who cares? You can have these. What does that mean for everyday life? Why do I want to do it? It just took me deeper and deeper and deeper until my pearl of great price. My pearl of great price is infinite. Spirit is infinite. It's never ending. It's a constant exploration. So who cares? What does it matter? Those questions always bubble up for me. Like, you can say, oh, I had this cool experience, but so what? Does it make me a better person? Has it changed the world? Yes. No. Are you interested? Or are you committed? Because anything is possible if you're committed. There's no special people. There's no one person where there's more God in them than anybody else. If you want to know the divinity of your being, all it takes is commitment. Day in and day out, month after month, year after year. And when you know it's the pearl of great price, that's why knowing what your pearl of great price is so important, you will commit because you know that you will give up everything to know your pearl of great price. And if we are the inner holy home, wherever we go, we're home. We're never outside of home. Heaven consciousness, all the different dimensions are right here and right now. They're not just when you die, and then you can experience these things. I hear it so much of the time, well, we can't know. Why not? The fullness and the power of presence of pure spirit, that's against principle when people say you can't know. Of course you can know, because the fullness and the wholeness and the power and the presence of God is right within us now. Now, all of us is infused with this God presence. Why do I have to wait till my body dies? I can let go of my body at any time if I start doing the practices. There is nothing that is denied us if we start to remember who and what we really are. It's not the question of can we know, it's do we want to know? Are we committed to knowing? How deeply does that commitment go for us? Our inner holy home is always there. Herm Edwards, a great football coach, I had to look him up. I think he was the coach of the Colts, but I'm not 100% sure. But I like the quote, to teach people to be committed when they don't even know what the answers are. What is your pearl of great price? What is your pearl of great price? Are you interested or are you committed? Deeply, profoundly, every single day, committed. No excuses, committed. No reasons why you can't do it, committed. How deeply committed are you? And again, none of this is to judge anybody, because we're always loved no matter what decisions we make, always. We will never be outside this love. We can never make a decision or a choice that will keep us from being this love. So we're not doing it to make us more loved, because we are already fully loved. We're only doing it so we can enjoy the fact that we are love. It's already there. Let's enjoy it. I'm committed. You committed? Nice, I love it. Let's pray. Woohoo! All right. So we're going to start with that beautiful, amazing, radiant truth. And what a powerhouse of truth. We just begin. It's like starting with a blast off. There is only one power. There is only one presence, one love, one beauty, one harmony, one grace. There is only one where there is no other. There is no separation. There is nothing other than this one power and one presence. It transcends all phenomena experience. It is beyond anything we could ever humanly point to with our language, with our words, and yet it is more real than the chairs upon which we sit. It is more real to who and what we are than anything in the phenomenal world. This is the truth, the absolute truth of pure being. And we are all one with it here and now. What an incredible and extraordinary realization to know this oneness, this transcendent, all-loving, all-wise, all-beautiful, transcendent love is right here at the center of every being on this planet. Every being radiates and pulsates through every atom and cell of our being, pure, unlimited, unbounded love, where there is no limitation. Nothing can ever separate us from this love. Nothing can ever separate us from this love. Nothing can ever separate us from the greatest love of all, the divine love. And so we open our hearts and let it all in. We open our hearts and say yes to it. We allow it to infuse our consciousness. We allow it to infuse our commitments every day. We allow it to infuse our self-talk. We allow it to infuse our interactions with every being with whom we come in contact. People beings, animal beings, plant beings, the universe, the environment, inner cosmos and outer cosmos. This divine love infuses every part of our day, our financial life, our relationship life, our mundaneness, our errands, our to-do list. Love infuses it all. The traffic, the drive, mechanical problems and mechanical flow. Whatever is happening, love is right there. That is our consciousness. We are basking in this consciousness right in this moment. I can feel it. That presence and that power and that love infusing every single one of us. We are it here and now. For ourselves, for each other, for the planet, for the cosmos. And so in deep abiding gratitude that we are now seeing and feeling and knowing this healing presence, this healing transcendent light and love pouring through our consciousness and healing ourselves and each other, we just say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for the gift that has already been given. Thank you for the awareness that this gift has already been given. Thank you for the recognition that this gift has already been given. Thank you that we have received and accepted this already given gift of pure, unlimited, unconditional love. And that we get to express it in every way, every day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In deep abiding gratitude, we just let this word be now. We surrender it. We open our heart, we let it go, and we say together, and so it is.
I walk in God in all I do. I walk in God in all that I say.